Jalen Hurts, you can't put any more hate on him. Jalen Hurts did his fucking thing. He showed up big, and this is just another example of the biggest games. He's showing up and playing his best. Jalen Hurts in 8 playoff games, he's 5-3. He has 18 total touchdowns, only 3 turnovers, and he has 240 yards per game in those, playoff performances. So this is his second Super Bowl run in 3 seasons. So this is one of the most winning quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, he does this. Like, he wins to a high level similar to, the Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. He's right behind Patrick Mahomes in terms of winning percentages and just having truly productive seasons. Jalen Hurts also has the most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in postseason history. The last 16 games, Jalen Hurts only has 2 turnovers. He's been taking care of the football at a high level this year and just not being the reason the Eagles lose the game. I know it's easy to get caught up in the fact that his numbers aren't, 300 yards passing every game. He doesn't have 3 passing touchdowns. He doesn't put up Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson numbers, but what he doesn't do is he doesn't cost his team the football game. He orchestrates this offense to a high level. When Kenny Pickett was out there orchestrating this offense, couldn't get the job done. They lost to the Commanders when the Commanders had 5 turnovers in the game last time these 2 teams met up. But now with Jalen Hurts in the picture, I think he was the MVP of this game. Another insane stat too is Hurts hasn't lost a game he started since September. Credit to Kevin Wallace from FS1 for that stat. But when Hurts is playing at his peak, at his highest level, this offense is unstoppable. They scored the most points in a championship game in NFL postseason history, and they scored the most touchdowns in NFL postseason history. 8 touchdowns, 7 of them were rushing touchdowns, and 55 points. So this was a masterclass performance from the Eagles as a whole. But Jalen Hurts, I think he was the MVP of this game because of, his effectiveness in the running game. 3 rushing touchdowns, and the Commanders had no answer for the tush push. They were kept going offsides, jumping off the thing. That whole drive where they went offsides like 4 times in a row, the ref had to say, hey, if you do this one more time, we're going to have to just award them the touchdown. Crazy. Frankie Louvu showed us a new rule in the NFL that we didn't know existed. Jalen Hurts is a conductor behind the Eagles offense and the success for this offense. Saquon Barkley, fantastic player. He might be the best player on the team, but without Hurts, Hurts is the most important. Hurts is what this offense runs through and runs with. 20 for 28, 246 yards passing, 1 touchdown and 3 rushing touchdowns. He balled the fuck out in the Super Bowl against Mahomes, and this is just another example, this NFC Championship game, of him playing at the highest level, at the biggest stages. So Hurts, if he could play like this, if he could replicate this performance, I don't see the Chiefs being able to beat the Eagles. The Eagles can take it to the Chiefs. That run game is effective. Hurts, that tush push, can't stop it. The last time these 2 teams met up, Jalen Hurts outplayed Patrick Mahomes, and it was just a matter of that, fumble that, Nick Bolton took back to the house. That really kind of caused some things in that game. But I feel like this Eagles team is a lot different than the team in 2022-2023 season. Jalen Hurts is better. I mean, that game, I think Miles Sanders had 7 carries for 16 yards. He really didn't do much in that game. But now Saquon Barkley in the picture. That run game is going to get going. James Cook, he had 85 yards against the Chiefs in that game. So I think Saquon Barkley will be able to be effective. And the postseason run he's been on might be the best postseason run by a running back of all time. I mean, 360-plus yard rushing touchdowns, the most in NFL postseason history. And he still has a game left, the Super Bowl. So yeah, this offensive line is just mauling guys. This offensive line is dominating the opposing defensive line, and Saquon Barkley, he gets shit going every time. No team has had an answer for him, and just a 60-yard touchdown, the first play of scrimmage for the Eagles offensively, and that showed what the game was going to be like. And they really exposed the Commanders' defense. The Lions, they could have potentially probably won that game had they ran the ball more than 14 times with Gibbs. Gibbs still had 100 yards rushing, but yeah, run it down this Commanders team throat, and you see what the outcome is. 7 rushing touchdowns. I mean, Will Shipley had a 57-yard rushing play. He had a forced fumble too on a kickoff return. Really helped this game get out of hand, and he had a rushing touchdown. So Saquon Barkley, big performance from him as usual. 118 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. A.J. Brown had 96 yards and a touchdown, and Jalen Hurts had a 4th and 5, 31-yard bomb completion to him. Great play. That kind of showed you what kind of timing Jalen Hurts was on in this game. Dallas had 7 catches, 85 yards. So everything was going for this Eagles offense. Smitty, I think he had 40 yards. But yeah, everything was going for this Eagles offense. They handled business, and defensively, they were great all across the board. Zach Bond had 11 tackles, I think, in the third quarter. Forced fumble 2. They forced 3 fumbles in this game. 2 of them on defense. They had an interception for Quinyon Mitchell, but that was when the game kind of got out of hand. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis had a sack. Nolan Smith had a sack. So the defensive line was great once again. They were able to hold, this run game for the Commanders, really limit it. And I think Daniels was the leading rusher. He had 48 yards. I think they had like 96 yards rushing in this game. But stopping this run game kind of limited things with this Commanders offense. They weren't able to have as much success as they would like to. But Daniels, this was, the typical Daniels performance. He didn't shrink. He played pretty well, all things considered, besides that interception when the game got away from them in the fourth quarter. But, this is a sell job from his team. I mean, this is really like he did as much as he could do, made the throws, made plays, had a rushing touchdown, had a passing touchdown to Scary Terry. That play was really nice. Was able to keep things close for him, 23-34, and then Austin Eckler fumbles. And then, the Eagles are capitalizing off all these turnovers, scoring points. So this game really wasn't his fault. Didn't get too much help offensively and didn't get too much help defensively. Every time the Eagles had the ball, they scored. Other than Zach Ertz, he played really well in this game. He had 11 catches, 104 yards receiving. So this is a big performance from him. I would be open for him to re-sign with the Commanders. He really built a really good connection with Jaden Daniels, was the guy he could trust down the stretch. And a performance like this is, gives you confidence he's going to show up big in the playoffs. This is a proven guy, a proven weapon you need for Daniels. So Scary Terry, Zach Ertz, those are 2 guys you could trust for real. So I'd bring back Zach Ertz for the Commanders. The Commanders definitely overexceeded expectations this season, and this was a year early. This is a year ahead of the rebuild. I mean, this is their first year in the rebuild. New GM, new coach, offensive coordinator, just like a whole new staff. Their ownership was new too, but they all came in and did a great job and played a part in just changing this culture and changing things around. Getting Jaden Daniels too. You got the right quarterback. You got the right coaching staff for him. You see how it could change overnight, damn near. I mean, the Commanders being in the NFC Championship game, it was crazy. It's weird to see them be this relevant and this fucking good. And so them being this good in their first season, it's only going to get better for them next season and the seasons to come. I think they'll definitely be in the NFC Championship game. You look at $93 million in cap space, opportunity to get another receiver, maybe a T. Higgins, Devontae Adams, any of the receivers that are available, you could get him a weapon. And in the draft, you need to draft anybody defensively. Corners, linebackers, pass rusher. You need to get another pass rusher in there. You need to improve the linebackers. Bobby Wagner is probably going to retire. But yeah, all defensively, offensive line too. Maybe add some, pieces, up front to shore up things. But yeah, just get another weapon for Jaden Daniels and improve this defense, and you'll be right back in the NFC Championship, I think. So great year for Daniels and this team. I mean, this was a really good season. This is best case scenario season for them. So they'll definitely be back. But for Jalen Hurts and this Eagles team, it's time. This is their time to win the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, 27 years old, about to be this year. There's going to be really interesting conversations about him if he goes ahead and beats Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, has 2 Super Bowl appearances, has the winning record he has in the playoffs, has a winning percentage he has, like the stat I said of, him not losing a game he's finished since September. Like, this guy wins at a high level. So if he gets a Super Bowl, definitely gets in that conversation, top 5, top 6 quarterback in the league. He's definitely earned that contract he's gotten, $255 million contract. So let me know down below early predictions for the Super Bowl. Who are you taking, Eagles or Chiefs? Some people thought the NFC North was going to be the worst division in football this season. They thought it was going to be as bad as the NFC South.